Welcome to Hazard Communication, created and designed by SHB Consulting Services and The Training Factor. Safety is sometimes ignored until a situation occurs. One safety violation can kill or hurt people and bankrupt a business. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, administrates workplace safety and health in the United States and operates under the framework established by the Federal Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970. This training session covers hazardous communications, commonly referred to as HAZCOM. Hazard communication covers the chemicals in your workplace, the harm they might cause, and precautions that could prevent these harmful effects. First, let's look at what is involved in OSHA's program. OSHA's program involves the recognition, evaluation, and control of occupational safety and health hazards. Safety is a priority, and hazard communication is actively supported. OSHA is responsible for the enforcement of safety rules and programs, and your company's policies and procedures assist with this enforcement. OSHA has requirements for both the employer and the employee. This program will cover the assigned safety and health responsibility and accountability for your company's hazard communication program. OSHA provides recommendations and mandates for engineering controls for safety and health hazards. The company takes the safety of its employees and of its residents very seriously. It is your company's policy to provide a safe and healthy workplace and to follow procedures aimed at safeguarding all associates. Accident prevention and efficiency in production go together. Neither should be given priority over the other. Safety increases when on-the-job hazards are understood by all employees. Remember, not only is the company responsible for safety, but so are you. Safety is everyone's responsibility. Everyone must do their part. Every supervisor is expected to devote the time and effort necessary to ensure the safety of associates at all times. You are responsible for knowing and following the company policies and for following laws and regulations. The company is providing the tools you will need to stay up to date in safety training. It is your responsibility to stay informed. This session will cover the basics of hazard communication as it pertains to your daily job. OSHA has several mandates for employees. If employees violate these mandates, they are in violation of OSHA requirements. We will now cover what your general requirements as an employee are under OSHA. We will cover these responsibilities in more detail later. Each location has an OSHA poster located beside the labor law posters. You are responsible for reading this poster. You are to comply with all applicable OSHA standards. You are to follow all lawful employer safety and health rules and regulations and wear or use prescribed protective equipment while working. Training on specific personal protective equipment is covered in a separate session. You are to report hazardous conditions to your supervisor. Service supervisors are to make sure their community manager is aware of all hazardous conditions. You are to report any job-related injury or illness to your supervisor within the first 24 hours and to seek treatment promptly. This is mandatory no matter how insignificant the injury or illness may seem at the time of occurrence. Failure to properly report work-related incidents may result in disciplinary action and even loss of benefits. You are to exercise your rights under the Occupational Safety and Health Act in a responsible manner. Now that we have covered OSHA requirements for employees, let's get into more detail and specifics. The community managers will assure that the program is followed at their locations and that training is properly documented. The service supervisors will maintain the inventory listing and material safety data sheets, oversee the storage and use of the chemicals, and provide employee training in the proper use of the chemicals. The service supervisor will conduct all safety meetings, participate in accident investigations, serve on safety committees, and participate in other loss control activities as needed. Service supervisors are to hold weekly meetings on site and to document training on all hazardous chemicals. We will cover the training requirements in further detail later in this session. Think about the hazardous materials at your community. Most communities will have freon, paints, cleaners, pool chemicals, bleach, gas, and oil. However, your location may have additional hazardous chemicals. The OSHA regulations apply to all hazardous materials. There are no exceptions. It is helpful to understand certain terms pertaining to hazard communication. Let's review some of the most pertinent terms pertaining to hazard communication. Biohazard is a risk to human life. A carcinogen is a chemical that can cause cancer in humans or in animals. Compressed gas is gas or gases in a container with an absolute pressure exceeding 40 pounds per square inch at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, or gases in a container exceeding 104 pounds per square inch. Corrosive is a material with the characteristic of causing irreversible harm to human skin or steel by contact. Many acids are classified as corrosive. Flammable is any liquid that has a flash point of 100 degrees Fahrenheit or below. Flammable also refers to any solid which can sustain fire and ignite readily. Moderate poison is a substance that has an inherent tendency to be harmful or to impair health. Non-hazardous is a chemical which is neither a physical nor a health hazard. Radioactive is the phenomenon exhibited by certain elements spontaneously emitting radiation as a result of changes in the nuclei of atoms of the elements. Severe poison is a substance that causes critical or grave reaction to health. Water reactive is a chemical that can react with water to release a gas that is flammable or that presents a health hazard. Oxidizer is a substance which yields oxygen readily to stimulate the combustion of an organic material. We will cover 3 basic hazardous communications requirements. OSHA requires training for all hazardous chemicals. You will learn the basics of the training requirements. Service supervisors have a key role in this training, so please pay close attention to the requirements. OSHA has requirements for how hazardous chemicals are labeled and stored. You will learn how to comply with all these requirements. You will also learn what a material safety data sheet is and how to use it, and we will cover recent trends and changes in labels and material safety data sheet. Hazard communication training takes various forms. The labels and material safety data sheets provide information about the chemicals and practices for safe handling. It is important that training be provided prior to using the chemical. Training is required before an employee begins a new work assignment involving a hazardous chemical. Whenever a new chemical is brought into the workplace, training must be provided. The service supervisor is responsible for providing this training before the chemical is used. In certain states, additional training and/or documentation of training is required. Training is to cover several topics. Some of these areas include operations in work areas where chemical hazards are present, appropriate means to detect hazards, hazards the chemicals in the work area present, measures that have been adopted to protect workers, unforeseen hazards that could be encountered while performing non-routine tasks. Training must include the details of the site's hazard communication program. Remember, the service supervisor is responsible for providing training to all on-site employees before the chemical is used. This would include such things as reading labels, how to obtain a material safety data sheet, and where material safety data sheets are located. Of course, the material safety data sheet is the primary training guide and is to be covered in detail with the on-site employees.